Coming to you live from the White Picket Studios in Houston, Texas, this is the Realty Ruckus. If you are in any way, shape, or form involved in the real estate industry, this is the show for you. And now, your host, Alan Hernandez.
What's going on, everyone? I am not Alan Hernandez. I am Gibran Hernandez, and we have a real special show for you today. We actually have a guest host here from the Real Estate Happy Hour. We have Curtis Warden. Curtis, what's going on, bud?
Well, I actually thought I was Alan Hernandez today. This is literally so depressing. I have to be myself again today. I'm doing good, man. Thanks for letting me come on.
No, we appreciate you being here, and especially on short notice. I know I told you, I think, on Tuesday, hey, do you want to be on the show on Friday? And you just immediately jumped on it.
I was like, hell yeah.
That's fantastic, man. So we got a really great show lined up for everyone. And I want to start off by letting everyone know a little warning message out there. The Houston foot fetish creep is officially back. He disappeared for about a year, and he's officially back. So if you don't know about this guy, he literally calls up female realtors,
okay,
schedules a showing, says, hey, I want to go look at this house, and then immediately jumps into, well, what kind of shoes are you wearing? Are you wearing socks or pantyhose? And it's just really, really creepy. They call him the foot fetish creep. So he's back around. So if you get a call like that, make sure you avoid it. And you may want to just reach out to Curtis Warden. He may be the one who made that phone call.
I don't think it's – I'm not a foot fetish guy, but I wouldn't put that phone call past Ryan DeGennaro.
Very sound. No sound?
No, on Facebook.
On Facebook, no sound? All right.
Oh, man. Come on, Face World. Let's see.
There we go, guys.
Okay, we have sound now?
Yeah, we should have sound now. So we were talking about the foot fetish creep, and he's back in town, and we just look out for him. If you do receive a phone call, if you are a female realtor, this is serious. It's not a joke only. There is actually a guy who goes around. He's been around every year for about the last 3 or 4 years, and nobody can figure out who he is. HAR gets all sorts of complaints on this guy. Everyone calls and they're like, hey, man, some guy called me asking me about what kind of shoes I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And I think it started off with like 1 or 2 complaints back like 2 or 3 years ago. And then slowly it became, hey, like hundreds of people are getting calls by this foot fetish guy.
Well, you know the reason why the foot fetish guy went into hiding, right?
Why did he go into hiding?
Because he partnered with me to go start doing high-end flips. And so now Ryan DeGennaro is back on the prowl of the foot fetish.
So now that things have stabilized out with his new partnership with you.
With the new partnership with him,
okay.
Now he can start refocusing on the feet.
Well, there you go, guys. If you do receive that call, make sure you put yourself out there and ignore it. Don't be afraid to tell the guy that he's a foot fetish creep. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the Houston Texans just finished their first preseason 4-0. That's
4-0.
the first time in the history of the Houston Texans that we have been undefeated in the preseason. So you're a big fan of football. You like the Texans.
I love the Texans.
Okay, good. I thought maybe you were going to tell me you were a Dallas fan.
Oh, hell no.
Thankfully, David is not here today. He's a Dallas fan. We'll get him. He's gone off the show today. That's great. What do you think about the Houston Texans? How did they look to you in the preseason?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I'm super excited about. Okay, first of all, the last 2 years in a row, I've had DeAndre Hopkins as my fantasy football pick.
Okay.
I have this discussion a lot with people who actually, like, Ryan is not a person that you want to talk about football. He could care
or
less.
Sports in general.
Or sports in general. I always say he's kind of like a bad girlfriend, that doesn't like sports or wants to go to it. But Brock Osweiler, I believe, will be a 4,000-yard passer.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe that DeAndre Hopkins will have at least 1,550 receiving yards and between 8 and 12 touchdowns this season.
Yeah.
Because he's going into a contract year. I believe that Braxton Miller will be like a 600-yard reception guy, and I believe Lamar Miller is going to be about a 600-yard reception guy. And then the rest of the receiving core, Will Fuller and all of the tight ends, I believe that those people will make up the rest of the other, 1,800, 1,500 yards.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I like the DeAndre Hopkins call. I think he's going to be huge in fantasy this year.
Yeah, that's my number one pick.
Yeah, I agree with you. And not only that, but him and Osweiler have such a great connection. I mean, through the whole preseason, the way that they've been playing, you can tell. I mean, they're right there. They're in the zone with each other. I'm really excited to see what we look like regular season. I get worried because every year the preseason we do decent, and then comes the regular season and it's like, oh man, this is a completely different team.
But the defense is incredible, and I know that we're getting ready to go on to break, and then we're going to actually talk about some real estate stuff. But my favorite player still of the Texans is Charles James, and I hope Charles James III actually makes the team, because that guy, I feel like that's the me in this world.
Yeah.
He's just a hustler.
Yeah, he tries so hard.
Yeah. I love it. I can relate to that guy.
Cool, guys. Well, we'll be back, and we do have some real estate things that we want to talk about with you. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join@teamwpr.com. join@teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching @Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one. Hey Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, david@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's david@houseflippingnetwork.com. Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus. And normally here is the part where I would ask David to go ahead and give me the weather. But since David's not in the studio today, it's going to be sunny. It's going to be hot. It's actually going to be a pretty good weekend. There's going to be 1 or 2 thunderstorms out there that pops up, but nothing out of the norm. So considering the weather that we've been having in the past, we should have some pretty decent weather this weekend.
Well, can someone tell me what the weather's going to be like in San Antonio? I'm taking my kids to go zip lining.
Yeah.
The natural caverns.
I've never been there. Are those pretty cool?
I've been there. I've been there once. No, I've been there twice. I went once by myself with my ex-girlfriend, and then I went once with my kids.
Okay.
And we finished. You know, it's like 45 minutes to do the tour of the caves.
So it's short. The cave tour is short.
Yeah, but it really could be a lot faster and a lot cooler, but it's so humid. And so you walk out just dripping with sweat.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and it's good if you like want to go for a hike or something. But man, you just feel like your lungs, like you're just breathing in water. But the cool part is the little zip line thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And they have this like attachment.
How long does that last for?
It can be as long as you want. You can play on the suspensions.
Yeah.
You can play on those as long as you want. But then when you do your zip line, you're off. You go down and then you come back.
Okay.
So it's like you go down this way and then you come back this way. So it's pretty cool.
Do you have to make like a reservation for that?
No, it's just a line. You stand in line.
Oh,
you pay
okay.
for your ticket. And you can either do the one time or you can do 100 times.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go there. I know a lot of people who've gone to those natural bridge caverns.
Yes, that's it. That's where I went.
Every time I drive down to San Antonio, I see the signs, and I'm like, one day I'll go. But when I was younger, my parents, they weren't really into like caverns and caves and hiking. They were more into like camping in the river. So we never did anything like that.
Well, they say this is where the robbers used to hide out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of got, it has some cool, like, you know,
History behind it.
some history.
Yeah.
I don't know where they were hiding, but they said that they hid back there. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. You know, I'm down.
That's cool, man. Well, we promised everyone a little bit of real estate when we came back.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to jump into this article that Bankrate put out. It's actually pretty interesting because in general, we talk about Houston being a great market to buy a house in because if you're a homeowner, the cost of living is so low here in Houston. Well, Bankrate actually did a study on it, and they looked at a lot of different factors, and we're going to go over those in a second. But they found that out of 50 of the biggest metropolitan areas in the country, Houston ranked number 45.
Yeah, and I don't believe that.
Yeah, it was a pretty surprising statistics. I thought Houston would rank in the top 5 at least.
Right.
Because that's the way I see it. It's like houses here are really cheap, really affordable to get into. Cost of living is not that expensive, or at least I thought. So Bankrate actually put out all these statistics, and I want to pull them up here and I want to go through them because they're pretty interesting. One of the biggest things that Houston gets ranked against is insurance. So the cost of insurance apparently is so high here that it makes it it makes it expensive, not affordable, to own a home. Do you see that a lot? I know that you own a couple of houses. Do you feel like the insurance is excessive?
You know, I think the only time that you're worried about insurance, like we had a wholesale transaction that busted out like 2 or 3 times because of it was in a flood plain. And so they're going to have to do some substantial lifting of the property in order to get it to where the cost of the insurance per month is lower than like $300 a month.
Yeah. So on here, what they did is they created like a 0 out of 10 rating. 10 being that affordability is really great, 0 being that you're going to spend a fortune there. On insurance, Houston ranked 1.8, which means that it is very expensive to have home insurance here. I had no idea. I mean, there's cities on here that ranked as high as a 9 and a 10, like Oregon. Apparently, insurance there is not very expensive at all. And I wonder if a lot of that has to do with the fact that we get hail, and that ruins a lot of roofs, so that's going to increase insurance costs.
Oregon could get a tsunami tomorrow.
That's true. That's true. But when was the last tsunami?
Well, they're saying that a tsunami could happen at any moment.
Really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Okay. If you look at, there was a show that I was watching on National Geographic, and they have like these tsunami evacuation routes.
Really?
And it shows you if everyone goes in the same direction to lead out.
Wow.
And they give you, it's supposed to be like, it's got some sort of radar effect in the ocean.
Yeah.
That once it hits, you have like a 3-hour window to get your stuff and get as far inland as you can.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's actually surprising to me. Especially because they're considered pretty low on the insurance scale. I was guessing, well, maybe, it's very hot here, and the temperature goes from dry to humid in a matter of seconds. I was just trying to figure out what would make it so expensive. I know that flooding has to be a big issue.
Right, and I'm wondering if they're fully burdening an insurance policy based on hurricane.
Yeah, all the windstorm, everything else.
Yeah. Some areas we're not required to have windstorm.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So it would be like in San Francisco. I can't believe that we would be worse than San Francisco when they could have an earthquake at any moment.
That's true. That's true. Well, San Francisco is actually not on this list. San Diego and Sacramento are, but they both are higher than Houston. So just so you guys understand, out of affordability, Houston has an 8 when it comes to like home affordability. So yes, houses are inexpensive here in Houston, but that's not the issue. The issue is that everything else that goes into owning a house. And I think a lot of homeowners don't think about that either. So one of the factors on here is maintenance, right? What are you going to spend on maintenance? Out of 10 being the most affordable, what do you think Houston got for maintenance? And
10.
it's going to blow your mind.
10.
It got a 0.
Oh.
So in other words,
wait, most affordable.
Yeah,
I thought,
yeah.
Okay, so it would be a 0.
Yeah. So Houston is outrageously expensive when it comes to maintaining your property. And again, I wonder what that has to do with. I wonder if that has to do with the fact that we get a lot of heavy rains here. We have a lot of humidity, and we know that moisture in houses just don't mix. You do a lot of pier and beam houses,
right.
and moisture is is a killer when it comes to those properties.
Yeah, but that's the reason why we went with pier and beam, because it allows for
the flow of air underneath the house.
The flow of air underneath the house, and it doesn't get trapped. And I know we're coming up on a break. In Arizona, they get taxed based on water usage.
Really?
That's the reason why in Nevada and in Arizona. So in 2010, I bought a subdivision from Royce Homes because Royce went belly up. They had bought land in Scottsdale, Arizona, but did not account for the water tax to bring water in.
Yeah.
$45 million of a water tax that they did not account for.
Yeah.
And that's why they went bankrupt.
Yeah. It sounds like one of those, they failed to do their due diligence completely when they were doing that neighborhood.
As a publicly traded company.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, when we come back, guys, we want to talk about how you should be behaving at networking events, because we know some of you may not have the right etiquette.
That's
Isn't that
correct.
Right?
That's correct.
We'll see you guys after the break.
Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join at teamwpr.com. JOIN at teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one. Hey Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, david@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's david@houseflippingnetwork.com. Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express, who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service and an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus, and we actually had a couple of questions off of the previous article. Is what factors were they actually factoring into maintenance? And they don't give you a very good breakdown, which is why during the break we actually discussed before the article that Bankrate has some statistics that don't always make sense, and they don't always offer you all of the data that they use to make their articles. So don't feel bad. The article may be complete BS, but it is interesting that they ranked Houston there, and there is some evidence that Houston is not that affordable. For example, property tax wise, Houston only ranked like a 1.8. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. So one of our biggest fans of our show, Alan Hernandez, he says that he leaves and we replace him with me. And then he also said that he can hear everything just fine, but the reflection from my head is blinding him. So I'm sorry, Alan. We can't please all of our fans, but we're glad that you watched the show.
We can't make everyone happy, but we'll do something about our lighting on the next one.
Let's talk about this networking event etiquette.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny because you walked in here, and we were at a networking event on Tuesday, and you said, man, some people at networking events just need to learn how to behave at a networking event. And I said, well, what do you mean? And you started to explain to me. And why don't you tell me, what do you mean by that? Okay,
so me, you, your girlfriend, and David were all sitting at the table, right?
Correct.
And before that, we were around the bar. When we see each other, it's just a natural conversation because we're friends. We know each other.
Yeah.
We have a relationship. Every time I see you, it's not about, hey, Jabron, tell me what you're doing. Tell me how's that working? So where are you getting your granite from? Where are you getting your AC from? I'm like, dude, quit humping me on a one-night stand. Let's build a relationship here. It's like you don't go up to a woman and go, oh, you're pretty. I want to feel your breast. You go and you.
I hope not. I hope not.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same way that people are looking at us. Is like we've got some information that we want to give them, and the situation really should be, hey, buy us a drink. So I told this guy, he was like, hey. So how'd you get started? I'm like, I'm going to tell you right now, guy. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to give you 2 questions. After that, he was with me and Joshua Borrega.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm giving you 2 questions. After that, you're buying us a drink.
Yeah.
For any more questions.
Yeah.
His first question was, why did you get started in real estate?
Okay. Kind of a waste of a question.
Wasted question. And second one was, how long have you been in real estate?
Yeah.
I'm like, those were your 2.
Yeah.
You're buying me a drink on the next one.
Yeah.
I think what
Did you get the drink? Did he buy you the drink?
No, he just leaves after that. He just, you know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
leaves. But my thing is that we're more than willing to talk,
Yeah.
but invest in us too. Like, give us something of yourself other than, like, get to know us other than just being
Yeah, it's not just
real
about the
estate
drink. I mean,
professionals.
the drink was an example of
Right.
something that can be given in reciprocity, but it's not just about, hey, tell me all the secrets that you know about the business. It's about establishing, like you said, a relationship. You gotta hold hands before you can go to the next phases in a relationship.
Right.
And people are skipping over that. They skip over the, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. This is who I am. This is what I want to do. I don't disagree with you. I do get that a lot at networking events.
How many times have you met someone new to the industry and they actually have like a good piece of advice or something that no one else is thinking of because they're coming at it from a completely different point of view than we are?
Yeah.
We'll never know that because they're so busy trying to find out what we know. We don't even have a chance to like get to know them.
Yeah.
And it's not that we're like, hey, we're so good and so busy. It's just when you get there, we're looking to network with our friends just like they're looking to learn information.
Yeah.
Be a fly on the wall for a couple of real estate events and get to know us and then start asking some questions.
What does that mean, be a fly on the wall?
Like, okay, if all of us were standing around
Yeah.
and we were all talking about real estate, just listen. We're going to get nuggets.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that completely.
Because I was sitting next to Alexander Sedelio on one side and Tom Perry from Houston House Buyers on the other.
Yeah.
You don't think that there were some nuggets being exchanged between all of us?
I can't imagine that there wasn't some amazing nuggets being exchanged.
So, you know, Tom's getting a property. Tom had a property in Brooksmith. He was
Yeah.
contacting me on. 4 years ago, I had that property in a joint venture with someone who passed away. Tom ended up getting it because he had a relationship with the hard money lender or the private money lender.
Yeah.
So Tom had great information. Alex was talking to me about several wholesale deals he was working on. You just be a fly on the wall. You know who was standing behind us was Andy Whelms. You know Andy? Or Andy Helms?
Yeah, yeah.
The guy with the red beard?
Yeah, he works at HBU, yeah.
New guy. Mm-hmm. Incredible guy. He's built a relationship with me because came to like all of our Houston happy hour shows. He comes to St. Arnold's Brewery. He's always around and he's always like talking and getting to know, how can I help you with what you guys are doing? It's not just gimme. And he's closing his first deal.
It's so interesting you mentioned that because you're right. The way that he kind of established the relationship that he has with me is he came to the brewery on all the events that we've had. He's been there at every single one, and he didn't just come up and berate me and how can you help me? No, he came up and he was like, hey, let me offer you some tips on sound. I'm a sound engineer at HBU. It was very much a give take. And I completely get what you're saying is that it can get frustrating sometimes when you go to these events and you feel like you're being pounced on by everyone around instead of being associated with as just a peer and a colleague and someone that you can share information with. That building rapport and establishing a relationship is really missing.
Right. And with you guys, I don't think that there's a month that goes by where either I call Alan or Ryan calls you, or I talk to you at the brewery and we ask you for some advice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. While we were sitting here, I was giving you tidbits of information.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can do that because we have developed a give-take friendship.
Yeah.
If y'all have a question about a high-end property in the Heights, y'all are always going to ask me what I think. That's the way the relationship works.
Well, and it's so funny because this industry is really small.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize how small it is, because you think Houston, okay, huge city, 3.5 million people. But in reality, this industry, the big names in it, there's only a few. I mean, you could probably count it on 2 or 3 hands, the number of people that are actually doing real estate correctly, that are doing the investing and that are doing it regularly and as a business. And so the word spreads around quickly when you're that guy who's like, oh man, that guy is just constantly annoying, constantly asking questions, doesn't really care to get to know me. They just want to leech off of me. I think you called it a brain sucker, or you called it something else, but yeah, no, and we talk about that sometimes, is that it's exhausting when you go to the networking events and you come home and that's all that's happened the whole night. You feel exhausted.
Let's talk about our live events that we do. When we're doing a live event or we're doing coaching and training, we have like 50 people in the room.
Yeah.
And we say, ask us your questions. We go to break, and it's our 10 minutes to either like fine tune some things. What am I leaving out? What do I need to talk about?
Yeah.
Or go to the restroom and get a drink.
Yeah, get a glass of water.
What do you get every single time we go to break?
Somebody comes up and asks a question.
I want to ask you a question about something that you said. That's what the class is for.
Yeah.
I always say, okay, we're going to do this question in front of everybody. I'm not going to answer this right now. I'm going to go to the restroom, and you're going to give me your question when we come back.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going to, if you have that question, someone else is having that question.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah, and I've taught a lot of classes, and that's very common. Is, does anyone have any questions before we go to break? And nobody will raise their hand. And as soon as you say, all right, guys, let's take a 15-minute break. Everyone go to the restroom, get some water. And you're about to go to the restroom or you're about to go grab a glass of water, just clear your head a little bit.
Yes.
And somebody always comes up and says, well, let me ask you something. It's like, no, I just gave you the opportunity to ask a question a second ago. And it helps everybody when you ask it in front of the group. So that's important too, is if you're in that kind of group setting, making sure that you're offering your advice to everybody. So if you have a question, make sure that everyone gets a chance to hear it, because you never know who else that your question could help. And guys, there's no such thing as a stupid question.
There are just stupid people.
Unfortunately, yes.
No, stupid people are people who don't ask questions.
I agree with that completely. The people that are too shy to ask a question or only want to ask it in private, guys, just ask it. It helps everybody.
If you're too shy to ask the question in the class, then don't even try to become a wholesaler.
Yeah.
Because if you can't just have the guts enough to ask me a question, then you're going to totally bomb at the door when someone says, how much are you going to pay? And you say, $50,000. And they're like, I told you don't even come here unless it was 75.
No, you're right. I mean, it all translates into all the areas. What you work on in networking helps you when you're talking to a seller, helps you when you're out there in the field in what actually makes you money. Because you don't get paid to go to networking events. It's what you get out of the networking events that actually produces income. So if you're expecting to go to networking events and make money, then you're going at it in the wrong direction. You have to take the advice that you're getting there and then use that in the field in order to turn it into income producing activities.
There should be nothing wrong with going to a networking event with your sole goal of just finding the biggest group of badasses and standing around there, not saying one word. Don't say one word.
Yeah, what do they say?
Just listen and take notes.
Yeah. What do they say, that you're the sum of like the 5 people that you hang out with the most? So, I mean, if you see a bunch of guys that are all crushing it and doing what it is that you want to do. If you, heck, you want to be a builder, okay, well, go to the networking event and go hang out with a couple of the builders. But don't just stand around and ask questions. Listen. I think that's the biggest point is, one, go out there and be willing to listen. The other thing that I've had, and it goes along with that, be willing to listen, is somebody will ask me a question. And I'm sure this has happened to you too. And you start to give them an answer.
And it's not the answer that they wanted.
Exactly. And they immediately jump into, well, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
I say, well, if you know the answer to the question.
Why did you ask me?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that happens way too often, that somebody will come up, ask a question, not like the answer that I start to give. They may say something about, hey, I've got this house and it flooded 3 times. And I'll say, no, don't buy it. But no, I wouldn't buy it. Let me put it better. That's not a deal I would do. And they want to justify it to me why they want to do it.
but that was perfect because remember, I know we're getting ready to come up on a break. We got about a minute and a half.
2 minutes, yeah.
So when we walked in, remember what happened? We walked up to the bar, and the lady comes to me, Kelly.
That's right. That's right.
The title company.
Yeah.
And I said, hey. She said, hey, I watch your videos on Facebook. Was it not Briarforce, it was Braeswood.
Braeswood. She said,
do you invest Braeswood? Yeah. I said, no, I don't, but he does.
Yep. And I was right there. I was like, yeah, we actually have done a lot of houses out there. Let me get your information. So, and that only happened because I just happened to be standing right there at the moment when it occurred.
But if it didn't, I would have moved you over. I would have moved her over to you wherever y'all were sitting.
Yeah.
Because I don't do that. That's not my cup of tea.
So quick, before we go to break, if we had to give people a top 3, the 3 things to do at a networking event, or the top 3 etiquettes, what would you say?
Listen.
Number 1 is listen. Okay.
Develop a relationship through either buying someone a drink, or share an appetizer, or sit down with them and just if you see them and then it's an opportunity where it looks like that person's willing to talk, offer them something to get information back. And number 3
in other words, give and take. Make sure you're doing both sides of it. Don't just take. Make sure you have something to give as well.
Yeah. And number 3 would be show up often.
What do you mean by show up often? Just go to a lot of events?
Be where you know that they're going to be. You need to be people feel comfortable with people they see over and over and over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Well, guys, when we come back from the break, we want to jump into dealing with distressed sellers, and not necessarily distressed houses, but we want to talk about distressed sellers. So we'll talk about that when we get back from the break.
Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join at teamwpr.com. JOIN at teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepickettrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepickettrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one. Hey Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, david@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's david@houseflippingnetwork.com. Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. And one of our biggest listeners out there, Alan Hernandez.
He's one of our best fans to the Realty
he's
Ruckus.
one of the biggest fans of the show.
Man, Alan, we appreciate you constantly listening and talking on Facebook. But Alan brought up a really good point. He said, and you brought it to my attention, he said, tell them about the people who email or call or even text every day for referrals for trades, and we don't even know who they are.
Yeah, so what happens is there will be a ton of people who will add me as a friend on Facebook. And guys, I get probably like 30, 40 friend requests a day. It's crazy. And so I don't have time to go through and filter through all of them. Although lately I've been filtering them a little bit better because I'm tired of getting ads for Oakley sunglasses.
Yes, yes. What is your criteria for adding on people?
I always want to go and make sure that they're actually in this industry or that they appear to be. And I also look to see that they look somewhat professional. If you've got like if your first picture is a picture of you like naked in a bikini or something, then usually I won't accept those friends. Those are like the spams, you know. And it is frustrating because you go through so many of them that sometimes you just want to confirm, and then you make the mistake and you get tagged in some pornographic post, you know.
My minimum is 100 people that we have mutual friends with. And
Okay.
I look to see who those mutual friends are. And if it's any one of the wholesalers or if they're a realtor, I go ahead and we'll accept them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I look forward to see if they're in the industry. That's one of the biggest things to me is if they're not in the industry, then what are we interacting over? Why are you adding me as a friend?
If they're Latin and they have a single on there and they're a mom, I will also likely add them if they fit that little criteria.
Yeah, that's your special criteria.
Yeah, but I honestly, I love people. I love them all, but I'm getting close to the 5,000 limit, so I'm really trying to,
to cut back on it and keep people on there that you actually care to have on there.
Not even that they care, just people who are actively engaging on my Facebook.
Yeah.
If you will engage with me, I don't know how many times I go to a networking event and I do get people that come and say, hey, I watch your videos. How do I know that you watch my videos? I never even see you like anything.
Yeah.
But they'll tell me everything that I said today, everything that I did at the house, their favorite part of it. I'm like, that is cool. That's the reason why I do these videos.
There's been a couple of guys that I never see them when the videos are live, but apparently they watch the replays because I've had guys we laugh about like the commercials, for example. They'll be like, yeah, I know all the commercials word for word. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I've never even seen you. But going back to the Facebook thing, so people add you as a friend and they'll add me as a friend. And this is a big problem with Alan as well. And then immediately send a message saying, hey, Alan, Jabron, Curtis, I know that you do construction. Can you send me your granite guy?
Yeah.
And guys, if that's the model that you're going by with your business, you're going to have a really tough time in this industry. Because it's one thing, yes, taking action is very important, but going and just reaching out to someone and expecting them to give away trades is not the right way to go.
But it's not even giving away trades. The reason why we don't give away trades is not because it's like, ooh, we've got this trade and we don't want you to have it. The reason why we don't give them away is because we've made referrals in the past.
Yeah.
And then you guys don't pay. Yeah. And then they come back to us and they're like, man, I did this job for your friend and they didn't even pay me. And I'm like, hey.
Well, it wasn't my friend. It was just some guy on Facebook.
Someone asked me, I'm trying to help you with your business. So then I lose my trade because your dumbass didn't pay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it all goes back to what we said earlier. Establish the relationship first. Don't just go out and immediately start asking for help. You need to create that, I'm going to give some, I'm going to take some. And then you also need to make sure that you have a relationship with that person. Don't just go on Facebook and say, oh, look, Curtis, yeah, he builds houses. Let me start asking him, Curtis, can you tell me how to build a house? You know, that doesn't work. That's not the model that you need to be going by. You need to work on establishing those relationships.
And think about, what did the person think when they came here? Were they thinking, wow, I'm looking to give away 20 minutes of my time to someone who I don't know tonight? Or were they like, I want to hang out with some of my friends, and if I meet a new person, great, but I'm wanting to hang out with my friends after a long day of work.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, man, because I've actually received emails from random people who are like, hey, I've got this whole entire investment deal. And I'm thinking, well, maybe they're trying to wholesale it. And then as I read through, I'm like, no, they're not trying to wholesale it. Well, maybe they're looking for someone to do the construction. I read through and I'm like, well, no, they're not. They've got a contractor and they're not looking for someone to do the construction. And at the end of the email, just be like, what do you think about the deal? Do you think that I should do it or not? I'm thinking, I don't even know who you are. And you're asking me to take my time and do the due diligence for you on a project. You have to respect the other person's time. You can't just expect the person to basically work for free. That's called being an analyst. You're analyzing their deal, and they expect you to just do it for no reason.
I tell, okay, so on my phone, if you call me, it says, for a quicker response, text me.
Yeah.
I say, this is 2015, because I haven't changed this since 2015. But it says, this is 2015. Nobody checks voicemails. For a quicker response, leave me a text message.
Is that what your voicemail message actually is?
Yes, and it's so me. It's unprofessional, and it's me. I don't want to do work.
Are you saying it's me or mean?
Me.
Oh,
it's
okay.
who I am.
M-E, okay.
It's who I am. I'm not going to change who I am just because society says I should be professional. I am myself. I have someone who's more professional than me, Ryan. He runs the business.
Yeah.
But his biggest problem is I have to teach him how to push people to voicemail. Not everyone should have your time.
Yeah.
His biggest fear is missing a phone call.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. And I'm like, my biggest fear is answering the phone call. I used to pray every night, God, please let my phone ring. Please let me have business. Now it's like, if I could just go an hour without my phone ringing, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had that feeling before. It's funny because I lost my phone in the ocean a couple of months back. And I was going to go to the store and buy another one. And I was like, you know what? It's only a couple of days before the insurance one comes in the mail. I'm just going to wait. And so I didn't have a phone for 3 or 4 days. And those were like the 3 or 4 most wonderful days of my life. It was. I had so many people sending me emails. Oh, I've tried to call you like 10 times. I'm like, yeah, well, send me the email and I'll answer it. But it's funny because during those 3 days, I realized there was nothing that couldn't be handled by an email. Like there was nothing that absolutely needed my immediate attention at that exact moment.
Yeah, and okay, so we're talking about our distress, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that we had talked about earlier when we came in was I had said something and you wrote that down, and that was we don't really deal with distressed assets.
Yeah.
We deal with distressed people that have real estate problems associated with their distress. And our problem is we need to find time for ourselves and find a balance because we have so many people tugging on us for information or for checks or for deals. Even our companies that we run, people are expecting us to keep the lights on. There's so much that we have that's going for us. Those people have the same demands. They're having phone calls coming in from the tax person, from the mortgage company, from the car that's ready to be repossessed, from maybe employers or other people that they owe money to.
Yeah.
Their distress is the reason why they're calling you. It's not that they really want to sell you their property. It's that they want to get rid of a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're trying
or several problems. Yeah.
Yeah. And that one piece of real estate may represent the solution to several different issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what I try to get my girls to do or talk to Ryan about, Ryan's like, man, you're really good in front of the sellers.
Yeah.
Especially the older people. I'm really good in front of older
Old people love you?
They do. And I don't know why, but I connect well. And I think that you have to be willing to read between the lines and offend somebody in a very honest way.
Yeah.
And so, like, when someone calls us up, I always take the Eddie Gann approach. If I don't buy this property, what are you going to do tomorrow? Well,
do you literally tell them that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Not only that, that lets me know some other information about them. But like some of the key things to pick up on is like, we walk into the house, and I'm a big fan of going to the place. Ryan is a big fan of just analyzing the deal over the internet, over HCAD, and submitting them like a verbal offer.
Oh, man, I don't like that. I feel like you have such a better chance of getting a contract when you can stare someone in the eyes.
Belly to belly.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Let's go toe-to-toe here.
Yeah.
Let's look at each other in the eye. I need you to feel comfortable with me that I'm actually going to take you out of your distress.
Yeah.
I'm going to solve this problem for you.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more on that. Yeah. I've never had good luck working with a distressed seller by just sending them an offer by text, by email, that's just never worked for me. I feel like it's almost unnecessary. You have to sit there and be in front of them, like you said, belly to belly, staring at them, establishing that rapport, making them feel comfortable. It's very similar to networking. It's just you have a different agenda.
Exactly. Very similar.
Yeah.
You're in a situation where you're trying to get either out of your job or into the business.
Yeah.
And you're really wanting to figure out some information. They're wanting to figure out what your price is. You're trying to figure out what their bottom line is.
Yeah.
And that dance that you do is much easier when you're face to face.
I couldn't agree with you more.
You have to be willing to be very uncomfortable and insult them. If they want 95 and you're at 75, you have to tell them 60.
Yeah, and when Curtis says insult them, and I'm speaking for you, and correct me
Yes.
if I'm wrong, but he doesn't mean literally go out there and be like, oh, you're ugly, or you have ugly shoes, or your house is
a disaster. No.
Yeah, it's insulting them, but in a sense of they know that whatever price they want is probably not realistic, and you have to be willing to let them know that price is not realistic.
So like one of the best insults that I've given somebody that really has caused a connected reaction was the lady was telling me that for 6 months her husband he started this project 6 months ago. He started this project a year and a half ago. He started that project 3 years ago. And so then I said, so how long has your marriage been on the verge of collapse?
Yeah. You told me about this earlier.
And it is like, wow, you really cut to the chase, don't you? You know? And it's like, I'm going to tell you, your problem is not with the property. Your problem is with your husband. And I don't even know if buying this property is going to solve your husband issue.
Yeah. Wow, that is brutally honest.
Right. But at that moment, she's like, wow, you really, you peeled my onion.
Yeah.
And you have to be perceptive. Perception takes time. That's why we always tell people, start with a garage sale. Why? Because it's already for sale. They put a price on there knowing you're going to haggle.
Yeah.
Come in and haggle. Okay, Gibran, we're going to go out to this address. Both of us are going to see, we're going to see who can get that property at that piece at the lowest price.
You know, it's funny. We've actually done that before here in the office. We like to create just friendly competition sometimes.
Right.
So sometimes when we get a seller that the house is worth like 100 and the seller's like, oh, I want 250, you know, something crazy. We'll put that phone number up in the back and we'll say, okay, everybody needs to call that person, and we want to see who's able to get it for the lowest price. And we know probably nobody's going to get it low enough to a number where it can be actually bought, but it's just about who was able to finesse enough to get that price down from the original asking price. It's a very interesting experiment.
We have to remember that people buy from people they like.
Oh, absolutely.
The reason why Target, and we're getting ready to go to a break, and so I want you guys, if you're on Facebook, send us over any questions you have about negotiating with distress. But
we're coming up on the last segment too, so make sure if you do have any questions, you want those answered before the end of the show.
Yeah, you got like a minute and a half.
The break.
The reason why Walmart is disliked and the reason why we go to a Target to buy is because we like the customer service better at Target.
Oh, I agree. That's the whole reason why I go to Target over Walmart.
And it even if Walmart has a better price, we still choose Target.
Every day.
So
every day.
It's all about relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be right back from the break, guys. Make sure you catch us in just a few minutes.
Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join at teamwpr.com. JOIN at teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepickettrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepickettrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one. Hey Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, david@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's david@houseflippingnetwork.com. Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service and an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus, and we actually had a really good question come in after the break, or during the break. It was from George Montes, and he said, if I have absolutely no wholesaling experience, should I go out there and put a property under contract, whether I know whether it's a good deal or not,
Right.
and just let the market dictate it? What are your thoughts on that, Curtis?
Okay, so I mean, we have to remember what are we doing here? Okay, so we're dealing with people's distress problem, and you're there providing a solution. You're a consultant. You're a real estate consultant, but more than that, you're a real estate solution provider. If you're getting the property under contract with, and they're packing up their house, they're making plans based on the money that you've told them that you're going to give them, and you can't get that property sold, are you going to buy the property? That's the way I would answer that question. And if it's, I'll let the market dictate it because I'm the buyer. If you're not the buyer and you're wholesaling, then you need to make sure that you at least run that by somebody that has some experience. Partner with them on the deal, because 100% of something is better than 50% of nothing.
Well, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, either one. Our biggest fan, Alan Hernandez, also said that old people like me because they can't see.
Yeah, well, no, he said the blind and the deaf ones.
Oh, yeah, the blind and the deaf ones. Alan just doesn't know how much his words inspire me to greatness.
Yeah, they're very motivating. They really push you forward, right?
Yes. I love that he's a fan of the Realty Ruckus. He should come on as a special guest sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. We should have him on,
Maybe
right?
Tuesday. So back to, was there anybody else have any questions? No? Okay, good.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that answer. I would say that, you still want to get it under contract, but if you are the wholesaler, don't put people in a situation where they think they're going to get relief at some point, and you offer them a price that you have no idea whether you're sure about or not, and they think, okay, well, on the 30th of this month, I'm going to have cash in my hand, and I'm going to be able to be out of my distress situation. And then you say, oh, no, I'm not going to buy the property. Actually, I offered you too much for it. And you leave that person in a really bad situation.
You're not doing you a disservice. You're doing wholesalers and investors a disservice when you do that, because then they get a bad taste in their mouth. It's like when a realtor accepts the property or the listing because you've promised that their house would sell at a higher price, or you've agreed to list it at a certain price when you know good and well your whole strategy is, I'm going to put it up high, and then they're going to be locked into a contract with me, and then I'm going to say, hey, let's reduce it.
Yep.
And then they're still pissed off because you didn't stand your ground.
Yep.
You didn't have any balls. You just let your clients dictate to you.
It's funny because that actually recently happened with Alan. He had a client who another realtor went in there and said, I can sell your house for more. And the homeowner said, okay, that's fine. I'm going to go with this realtor. They think they can sell it for more. Well, the house has been on the market now for 6 months, has been not getting almost any showings. And then they call Alan and they say, hey, well, what do you think is the problem? Why am I not getting any showings? He said, because you got it listed too high. Hey, I told you what the price that it could sell for, and you decided to go with a different agent because you thought you could get more money, and you were chasing the money rather than chasing the quality of the service. And so, yeah, I do agree with you on that. Even there's agents that are very guilty of doing the same thing, making false promises.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember another show back, we talked about do open houses work? You know, it's kind of like one of the strategies, right?
That's right. We sure did.
And Ryan and I just listed a property in Fairfield on Morning Glory Terrace Court. It's under contract. So our agent Karen hosted an open house on Sunday from 2 to 4. A guy came in 3 times.
During the open house?
During the open house.
That's awesome.
VA, which remember at St. Arnold's Brewery, we talked about FHA and VA and the issues there. And the VA flipping rule is the same as the FHA flipping rule. So you have to have seasoned the deed for 90 days.
In order,
So we've got them under contract. We have 30 days left to season. So at the end of 30 days, we will terminate that contract.
Recontract it under
Recontract, reissue earnest money, and we will close 30 days from that point.
Well, there you go, guys. If for anyone who's never said that a property is never sold at an open house, there's your proof that it is possible.
Yeah, that's number 2. And it's not just me saying it. Karen Hernandez is the one who listed it. I think she's maybe your sister.
Not all Hernandez are related.
What? What?
I know, shocking, right?
You mean not all wholesalers are actual investors?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Wow, this is all shocking to me. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were saying we were talking about religion, and they had a bad experience with it. And I said, she goes, well, what's your thought? And I said, well, one time I ordered a Papa John's pizza, and it made me sick to my stomach. So I could either look and say all pizzas are bad, that one Papa John's is bad, all Papa John's are bad, or just that one pizza was bad. And I said, life is really determined all the time by how we perceive things.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have a negative experience and we blame everybody for it. Or we look at ourselves and we say, I just made a bad selection, or that one thing was bad, but everything else was okay.
Yeah.
And so, if there's any tidbits or information I could leave anybody with, it's that don't let that one situation or circumstance determine the success and outcome of your real estate investing career or being a wholesaler, which those two things are very vastly different.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about that. Just because you invest in marketing doesn't make you an investor. I invest 8 hours a day in a job that only made me an employee. It didn't make me an investor.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I hate to cut you off, but I do want to jump into some of the events that we have coming up. We've only got about 2 minutes left on the show. So number one, and we were talking about this earlier, I was talking about assistants, and Brandon, you were saying, well, no, that's too expensive to have an assistant. But for those of you who are ready to get an assistant and you don't want to spend a lot on having an in-house assistant, you can get a VA. Now, VAs charge anywhere between $3 to $4 an hour, but the biggest problem is everyone's always like, well, 1, where do I find them? 2, how do I vet them? 3, how do I train them? 4, what can they really do for me? I don't know what I can have my VA doing. Well, if you're that person, we have an event coming up on September 28th. It's going to be held at September 28th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're co-hosting that with Richard Smith. Richard Smith is pretty much an expert when it comes to VAs and automating his business. And we want to make sure that you're there. We only have 80 seats for that event. And we released the link this morning, and we've already sold 25 tickets. So if you want to go,
Whoa.
yeah, that thing's going to sell out really
How much
quickly.
is it?
It's free. 100% free, and it comes with lunch.
If it's free, it's me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's no excuse. If you've ever been interested or you're even thinking about a VA, you need to make sure and go to this class. That's a really big one.
If anyone wants to come out and hang out with me, I'm going to go to that one. And I'm going to make sure Ryan goes as well, because Ryan needs an assistant.
Yeah, and the other thing is also October 11th is our next happy hour. So, yeah, I know it's still a month away, but, man, a month can go by really quickly.
And
so
we had almost 400 people there last time.
Yeah, it got pretty packed, and we plan on having the same amount of attendance, if not even more. Usually October we have way more attendance. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but make sure that you go online, you register. If you go on Eventbrite, you can find a happy hour by just typing White Picket October Happy Hour. If you want to find the VA course, search Eventbrite for the complete VA virtual assistant course, and you'll find it on there. Like I said, we only have 80 tickets. We've already sold 25, and that was with one release of the link. So really important if you want to get on there that you go and sell it. Curtis, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate you coming in. I know that it was a little short time on there, but
it was awesome.
We really appreciate it. And then on Tuesday, make sure that you come back, guys. Alan will be back in studio with us on Tuesday, and we'll have the whole crew here again. And then next Friday, Ashley will be back in studio again, and we'll be doing our normal routine of going through the legal issues.
Boom.
But for today, guys, thank you so much. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one. This has been the Realty Ruckus.
This has been the Realty Ruckus. Make sure and join us every Tuesday and Friday for new episodes. Find us on YouTube and Facebook for replays of previous episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep up your ruckus. Thanks for listening. Realty Ruckus has been brought to you by Smart Pig Media Productions.